1. Culture of food safety. Health Canada estimates that more than 4 million Canadians suffer from foodborne illness every year. The multifaceted approach aims to reduce the risk of foodborne illnesses and enhance the safety of the food supply chain. Government regulations. Education and training. Public awareness. Communication and transparency. Traceability and recall systems. Collaboration with industry. Technological advancements. Continuous improvement.
2. Food handlers' responsibility. Food handlers play a crucial role in maintaining food safety and preventing foodborne illnesses. Personal hygiene, hand washing, appropriate attire. Safe food handling, cross-contamination prevention, proper temperature control, avoiding bare hand contact. Cleaning and sanitizing, equipment, utensils, food contact surfaces. Reporting illness to their supervisor promptly. Not working while sick. Education and training, updated regulations and best practices. Allergen awareness, to prevent cross-contact. Traceability, food handlers must be able to trace and identify products quickly. Communication, clear and open communication with supervisors and team members is essential for maintaining a safe food handling environment. Continuous improvement, food handlers should actively seek opportunities for continuous improvement in their knowledge and practices.
3. Laws and authorities. Regulations govern the safe production and sale of foods, including construction, operation, safety training, equipment, utensils, surface, sanitation, procedures, etc. PHIS, public health inspectors, and EHOS, environmental health officers, serve as consultants, educators, inspectors, and enforcers. The purpose of inspections is to make sure that food is being handled properly from receiving through preparation to serving, and that all regulatory requirements are being met.
4. Handling a foodborne illness complaint. Be polite and attentive. Record as much information as possible about the complaint on a foodborne illness report form. Encourage the customer to contact the local health authority. File and keep the original foodborne illness report, along with the health authority's inspection report once you receive it. Contact the local health authority yourself with the information you have recorded on the foodborne illness report form. If the customer is still sick when you speak with them, recommend that they contact a healthcare professional. Never attempt to diagnose the illness or suggest treatments. A foodborne illness report sheet can be found on the foodsafe.ca website.
5. Examples of chemical, physical and biological causes of food contamination. Chemical, cleaning agents, pesticides, dissolved metals. Physical, glass, wood, hair, bandages, insects, metal particles, stones. Biological, infected workers, contaminated work surfaces, cross-contamination, improperly washed dishes and surfaces, contaminated water. Most cases of foodborne illness are caused by biological contaminants. Foodsafe Level 1 will focus on reducing biological risk.
6. Major improper food handling practices that have caused foodborne illness outbreaks. Improper cooling. Advanced preparation. Infected food handlers. Improper reheating. Improper hot holding. Contaminated raw food or ingredient. Unsafe source. Use of leftovers. Cross-contamination. Inadequate cooking.
7. Food allergies and reducing risk. Major food allergens. Eggs, milk, mustard, peanuts, seafood, sesame, soy, sulfites, tree nuts, almonds, hazelnuts, cashews, wheat. Allergic symptoms. Respiratory, breathing difficulty breathing, speaking or swallowing. Cardiovascular, heart lightheadedness, dizziness, pale/blue color, weak pulse, fainting, loss of consciousness. Gastrointestinal, stomach nausea, cramps, stomach pain, vomiting, diarrhea. Skin, hives, swelling, face, lips, tongue, itching, warmth, redness. Neurological, brain anxiety, feeling that something really bad is about to happen, headache, confusion, disorientation. Reducing allergic reaction. Strict avoidance of the food allergen is the only way for an individual with a food allergy to prevent an allergic reaction. Preventing cross-contamination of potential allergens. Use separate utensils, cookware and cutting boards, and properly clean food surfaces.
8. Microbes and protozoa. Microbes are living things that are often too small to be seen without the help of a microscope. Microbes include bacteria, viruses, parasites, protozoa, and fungi. Some microbes are beneficial to us. But some microbes can cause illness and even death. These microbes are called pathogens, which means something that produces sickness. Protozoa are one-celled animals. An example of protozoa is Giardia lamblia that may be found in rivers, lakes, streams, and shallow wells. Giardiasis, one of the most frequent causes of non-bacterial diarrhea in North America, may be caused by washing produce in water contaminated with Giardia lamblia.
9. Examples of microbe and their sources. Bacteria, Escherichia coli, E. coli, Salmonella, Campylobacter. Found in soil, water, air, on surfaces, and in and on the human body. Viruses, norovirus, hepatitis A found in humans, animals, and contaminated food or water. Protozoa, Giardia lamblia. Found in contaminated water, including lakes, rivers, and untreated water sources. Fungi, molds like Aspergillus, yeasts like Saccharomyces. Found in soil, plants, and air. Parasites, Cryptosporidium, Toxoplasma, and Trichinella. Found in contaminated food and water.
10. FADM. 6 conditions of bacteria multiplication. Food, bacteria require food to survive. Moist foods that are rich in protein are good food sources to support the growth of pathogenic bacteria. Acid, bacteria do not grow in an acidic environment. Temperature, in danger zone, 4 degrees C 60 degrees C, bacteria can multiply rapidly. 60 degrees Celsius will slow or stop bacteria growth. Time, restricting the amount of time that foods are left in the danger zone will help to reduce the risk. Oxygen, aerobic bacteria require oxygen to grow. Anaerobic bacteria don't require to grow. Moisture, bacteria need moisture to survive. Less moisture are less hazardous.
11. Danger zone. Between 4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius, harmful bacteria can multiply rapidly. Temperatures below 4 degrees Celsius or above 60 degrees Celsius will slow or stop bacteria growth.
12. Potentially hazardous foods. Foods that have the FADM conditions to support the growth of pathogens or the production of toxins are considered potentially hazardous foods that pose a food safety risk if left in the danger zone for even short periods of time. Examples of potentially hazardous food. Meats and poultry. Eggs and egg products. Dairy products. Fish and shellfish. Cooked and cut up raw fruits and vegetables. Processed foods.
13. Cycle of transmission. There are 3 major parts in the cycle of transmission of contaminants. The food. The food handler. The environment. Example is Salmonella in raw chicken. Foods can also become contaminated by an infected food handler or by environmental factors such as unclean work surfaces and utensils, insects and pests, or a dirty water or air supply, or by cross-contamination from some other contaminated food. A food handler can become contaminated by touching or tasting contaminated food. The environment may be contaminated by both food handlers and contaminated food. The transmission of foodborne illness can be a vicious circle.
14. Direct and indirect transmission. Direct transmission occurs when microbes transfer directly from the source of contamination to food. When contaminated raw meat juices drip onto fresh produce. When an infected food handler coughs or sneezes onto food or touches the food with contaminated hands. To reduce direct transmission of foodborne illness, Food handlers should always pay close attention to personal hygiene and proper food storage. Indirect transmission is also called cross-contamination. Occurs when there is an intermediate step between the source of contamination and the food. Cross-contamination might occur when a cutting board is used to cut up raw chicken and then is used again to prepare salads without being cleaned and sanitized.
15. Purpose of food safety plans. Food service establishments should have written plans for the safe preparation of each menu item in the establishment. These plans are called Food Safety Plans, FSP. Food safety plans are part of a hazard analysis critical control points (HACCP) program, a systematic approach to product safety that is widely used in the food industry. An FSP begins at the receiving and storage stage, when food enters the establishment, until the point when it is served to the customer. When all food handlers follow the FSPs for the food served in an establishment, the risk of food contamination will be reduced. An FSP identifies hazards, critical control points, critical limits, monitoring actions, and corrective actions.
16. FSP identification. Hazard. An FSP begins by identifying the possible biological, physical, and chemical hazards associated with each step in the preparation and serving of a menu item. In the food service industry, biological hazards are by far the most common type of hazard. Critical control points is a point beyond which no further action can be taken to eliminate a hazard. Critical limits are specific and measurable limits that indicate effective control of a critical control point. Monitoring actions are checks, measurements, or observations that prove that the critical limit is met. Monitoring actions should be documented and accurate records kept. Corrective actions are procedures that should be followed when a critical limit has not been met. Corrective actions should be documented and accurate records kept.
17. Example of CCP, critical control point. Will be cooked foods. Raw meats, poultry, seafood, and eggs. A CCP is the cooking step. When the temperature of the food is raised to a high enough temperature to kill bacteria. Ready-to-eat foods. Fresh salad ingredients or ready-made sandwiches. A CCP is the storage step. When the food is stored away from potentially hazardous foods and at a temperature low enough to control bacterial growth.
18. Importance of good health and hygiene. Habits for food handlers. Food handlers are one of the 3 components in the cycle of transmission. Practicing good personal hygiene is one of the most important steps in the prevention of foodborne illness. Even if you are not displaying any symptoms of illness, you could still be a carrier, which means you could be carrying pathogens in or on your body.
19. Identify the steps in proper hand washing. Steps for proper hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply liquid soap and lather for at least 20 to 30 seconds. Scrub backs of hands, wrists, between all fingers and under nails. Rinse under running water. Hands pointing down towards the drain. Dry with a paper towel. Turn off taps and open bathroom door using the paper towel.
20. Appropriate use of glove. Gloves can pick up bacteria just like your hands. Wash your hands thoroughly before putting on disposable gloves, and change them as often and in the same circumstances as you would wash your hands. Do not use latex gloves. Latex is a common allergen and can cause severe allergic reactions. The recommended materials for disposable gloves are nitrile, polyethylene, or vinyl.
21. Good habits to reduce foodborne illness. Frequent and proper hand washing is an important step in preventing the spread of foodborne illness and gastrointestinal disease. Always wash your hands before you begin handling food and after eating, smoking, sneezing, coughing, blowing your nose, using the toilet, touching your hair or face, handling garbage, or handling money. Fingernails should be kept well trimmed and cleaned using a clean and sanitized nail brush. Remove jewelry and nail polish.
22. Importance of not handling foods when sick. Cross-contamination. When someone is sick, especially with a contagious illness, there's a higher likelihood of transferring pathogens, bacteria, viruses, etc., from their body to the food they handle. Direct transmission. Some illnesses are transmitted directly through respiratory droplets or bodily fluids. Foodborne illness outbreaks. When individuals handle food while sick, they may inadvertently introduce harmful microorganisms into the food. Personal hygiene practices. Symptoms of illness, even if not gastrointestinal, can compromise personal hygiene practices. For example, sneezing, coughing, or touching the face without proper hand washing can introduce pathogens to the hands, and subsequently, to the food.
23. Importance of using approved sources. Quality assurance. Approved sources have been inspected and meet specific standards for hygiene, sanitation, and food safety. Prevention of contamination. Approved sources follow proper handling and storage practices, reducing the risk of contamination. Compliance with regulations. Approved sources comply with local, regional, and national regulations related to food safety. Traceability. Approved sources often have systems in place for traceability, allowing you to track the origin of the food products. Traceability becomes crucial for identifying and removing affected products. Customer trust. Customers are more likely to trust the food served at your establishment when they know it comes from approved, reputable sources. Consistency in supply. Approved sources are more likely to provide a consistent and reliable supply of food products. Using approved sources is a fundamental aspect of ensuring the safety, quality, and reliability of the food supply chain in any food service establishment.
24. Reasons why a product might be rejected. Only accept food shipments from approved source. Reject shipments if the vehicle is dirty or if there is evidence of pests. Ensure you have adequate storage space for food. Don't order more than you can use in a reasonable time. Ensure that chemicals have been stored separately from food and food containers on the vehicle. Check for spillage and leakage. Check that the refrigeration and freezer units on the vehicle are at the correct temperatures, at or below 4 degrees Celsius for refrigeration units and at or below -18 degrees Celsius for freezer units. Using a probe thermometer, check that the internal temperature of refrigerated food is at or below 4 degrees Celsius and frozen food is at or below -18 degrees Celsius. Do not accept food that is spoiled, damaged, or past its best before date. Reject products with broken boxes, torn bags, opened containers, dented cans, or strange odors.
25. Procedures for receiving a food delivery. Authorized personnel. Only authorized and trained personnel receive food deliveries. Check delivery vehicle. Reject the delivery if the vehicle is dirty or if there is any evidence of pests. Space and capacity. Avoid ordering more than what can be used in a reasonable time to prevent issues related to storage capacity. Separation of chemicals. Check separation, spillage, or leakage of chemicals. Temperature checks. Refrigeration units should be at or below 4 degrees Celsius and freezer units should be at or below -18 degrees Celsius. Inspect for quality. Do not accept food that is spoiled, damaged, or past its best before date. Reject products with broken boxes, torn bags, open containers, dented cans, or strange odors. Documentation. Keep accurate records of the received items, including quantities, dates, and supplier information. Immediate storage. Once accepted, received foods should be put away immediately.
26. Order in which foods should be put away. First, potentially hazardous foods requiring refrigeration, meats, seafood, dairy, etc. Second, frozen foods. Third, less hazardous foods that require refrigeration, fresh, uncut fruits and vegetables, etc. Fourth, dry goods.
27. First in first out, FIFO, principle. Pull older stock to the front of the shelf and store the new stock behind. Note the code date on products, best before date, expiry date, use by date or production date, and rotate stock so that older stock is used before new stock. Discard expired products.
28. Safe procedures for storing food. Protect food from contamination by wrapping and covering it. Use only food-grade containers to store food. Do not reuse empty containers to store food. Make sure that all food is labeled with the product name and the date that it was received. Do not store food on the floor. All food should be stored at least 15 centimeters off of the floor. Always store raw animal foods on the bottom shelf in the cooler below ready-to-eat foods, any foods that will not be further cooked.
29. Procedures for thawing frozen foods. Most bacteria will not grow in frozen foods, but they will begin to multiply again when food is thawed and left in the danger zone. There are 3 safe ways to thaw food. In the refrigerator, at or below 4 degrees Celsius. Large frozen items like a roast will take at least 24 hours for every 2.5 kilograms. Even small amounts of frozen food require a full day to thaw in the refrigerator. In cold water, the frozen food must be in leak-proof, waterproof packaging. Submerge the food package in cold tap water, changing the water every 30 minutes as the food thaws. In a microwave oven may be used to thaw small quantities of food, but remember that microwave ovens do not thaw food evenly. Small quantities of food can be cooked from a frozen state, but they will take longer to cook than the recommended time for fully thawed foods. Always check that food has reached a safe internal temperature before ending the cooking step. Never thaw food at room temperature.
30. Methods to prevent cross-contamination during food preparation. First, always clean and sanitize cutting boards, utensils, and other food contact surfaces between uses. 2st. Use separate cutting boards for potentially hazardous raw foods and ready-to-eat foods. Color-coded boards are a good idea. 3rd. Keep raw foods away from cooked foods. Keep soiled dishes away from clean dishes.
31. Cooking foods to the correct temperature. The cooking step for many potentially hazardous foods is a critical control point. Cooking to the correct temperature is the critical limit, or the point at which pathogens will be killed. In order to be sure that foods have reached the critical limit temperature, always use a food thermometer to check the internal temperature of the food. Food may look cooked on the outside well before it has reached a high enough temperature to kill pathogens. Always use a food thermometer to ensure that foods have reached a safe temperature. A temperature of 74 degrees Celsius will ensure that pathogens have been killed.
32. How to use a food thermometer. Food thermometers should be calibrated frequently to ensure that they are reading temperatures correctly, and must be cleaned and sanitized after each use. Use where the coldest temperature is most likely, such as the thickest part of a meat or poultry, or the middle of a pot of soup. Make sure that the thermometer is not touching a bone and take the temperature in several places. Be aware of hot and cold spots on grills, stoves or ovens and measure food that is most likely to be colder. When microwaving foods, be aware that they will not cook evenly. Check temperatures in different parts of solid food and stir liquids for more accurate temperature readings.
33. Safe procedures for hot holding foods. Hot holding equipment such as chafing dishes, steam tables, crock pots, and rice cookers are specifically designed to keep food at a safe temperature between when it is cooked and when it is eaten. Hot holding units hold food at a temperature at or above 60 degrees Celsius 140 degrees Fahrenheit. They are not designed to heat food to a safe temperature. Both the hot holding unit and the food must be preheated before the food is placed in the unit.
34. Proper cooling and methods for rapid cooling. Improper cooling is one of the leading causes of foodborne illness. In order to reduce the amount of time that food remains in the danger zone, hot food must be cooled from 60 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius within 2 hours. Then cooled from 20 degrees Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius within the next 4 hours. Methods for rapidly cooling foods. Placing the container of hot food in an ice bath. Stirring with purpose-built ice wands or cooling wands. Dividing large portions into small portions and cooling in shallow metal pans in the cooler.
35. Procedures for reheating foods. Inadequate reheating for hot holding is one of the improper food handling practices that have caused foodborne illness outbreaks. Reheat food rapidly to a minimum of 74 degrees Celsius. Then hold at or above 60 degrees Celsius unless it is served immediately.
36. Methods to reduce the risk of contamination in self-service and buffet situations. Ensure that food is placed into the self-service or display units only after both the food and the unit have been preheated or pre-chilled to a safe temperature. Use clean service utensils for each dish and make sure the handles don't touch the food. Post signs reminding guests not to mix service utensils between dishes. Use sneeze guards. Remind guests to use a clean, fresh plate when returning to the self-service line. Never add fresh food to food that has been sitting in the buffet table. Food that has been on a self-service table must not be reused. Children should be supervised by an adult when at the self-service line. Limit amount of displayed food to what can be used within 2 hours.
37. Methods of dispensing and serving safely. Wash hands frequently when handling food. Use tongs to touch and serve food. The handles of the tongs should never come into contact with the food. Use proper scoops for ice. Never use glassware to scoop ice. Don't store the scoop in the ice. Store ice cream scoops in containers with cold running water, or, if used infrequently, wash after each use. Avoid touching surfaces that may touch food or a person's mouth.
38. Procedures for cleaning and setting tables. Food that has been served but not eaten must be discarded. Use a clean, damp cloth or paper towel and a spray sanitizer to clean tables between uses. Table linens should be changed between each setting, and tables must be cleared completely after each use. Even if a guest only has a coffee and does not use the cutlery, the entire setting must be removed when the guest leaves. Glasses and cups should be inverted on clean placemats or saucers to reduce the risk of contamination. Handle glasses by their base, and cutlery by the handle when setting tables. If leaving tables set, cutlery should be wrapped to reduce the risk of contamination from dust and dirt.
39. Service items that are used only once. Single service items such as straws, paper cups, plastic cutlery, or plastic/paper plates must be used only once and then discarded.
40. Transporting food off premises for catering or home delivery. When customers take home leftover food, they should be instructed, verbally and or in writing, that the food should be consumed or refrigerated within 2 hours. If reheating, reheat to 74 degrees Celsius before eating. Food that is being transported off premises must be covered and protected from contamination. The food must leave the premises and arrive at its destination at a safe temperature. Hot foods must be transported so the food is maintained at or above 60 degrees Celsius. Refrigerated foods must be transported so the food is maintained at or below 4 degrees Celsius.
41. Steps for proper dishwashing. Manual dishwashing. Scraping, use hot water and good friction with nylon brushes or pads. Soak flatware and utensils for 10 to 15 minutes in a buspan of hot water and a commercial soaking chemical. Pre-soak dirty pots and pans. Washing, wash with a commercial grade detergent in 45 degrees Celsius clean water. Change water frequently. Rinsing, rinse in clean hot water to remove detergent. Sanitizing, sanitize for 2 minutes in 28 milliliters commercial chlorine bleach per 4.5 L of water or use another approved sanitizer. Use chemical test strips to measure sanitizer concentration. Air drying, drain boards should be clean and sanitized and be sloped for drainage. All dishes, pots and pans, cutlery and utensils should be dry and cool before storage. Never towel dry.
42. Correct temperatures for dishwashing. High-temperature dishwashers. The temperature of the wash cycle must reach at least 60 degrees Celsius. The temperature on the final rinse cycle must reach at least 82 degrees Celsius. Low-temperature dishwashers. Have a heated wash temperature of at least 60 degrees Celsius followed by a warm or cold rinse cycle with chemical sanitizer. The final rinse must have a concentration of 50 ppm chlorine or 12.5 ppm iodine. Glass washers. operate at temperatures that are lower than mechanical dishwashers, 50 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. Chemical sanitizers are used instead of hot water. Glass washers will not remove dried-on sugar, cream or juice. Pre-soaking and scrubbing with a brush may be necessary.
43. Check dishwasher temperatures and sanitizer. For all types of dishwashing, it is important that proper wash and rinse temperatures and sanitizing solution concentrations are maintained. To check high-temperature dishwashers, run the dishwasher. Check the temperature of the wash cycle. It must reach at least 60 degrees Celsius. Check the temperature of the rinse cycle. It must reach at least 82 degrees Celsius. Run for at least 10 seconds at this temperature. To check low-temperature dishwashers, check the wash cycle. It should be between 50 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. Check the residual sanitizer levels using sanitizer test papers. The final rinse chlorine residual sanitizer levels should be 50 ppm or higher.
44. Importance of following a sanitation plan. 2 components of a sanitation plan. A list of cleaning and sanitizing agents used in the premises, including which chemicals to use for each task, the concentration required for each chemical and task, and how to safely store the chemicals. A cleaning schedule that specifies each item that needs to be cleaned, how it should be cleaned, who is responsible for cleaning it, and how frequently it should be cleaned. If your position in the food service establishment includes responsibility for cleaning tables, fixtures, equipment, walls, floors, or food contact surfaces, make sure that you are familiar with, and follow, your establishment's sanitation plan and, where appropriate, the manufacturer's instructions. In a culture of food safety, out of sight is definitely not out of mind. Remember that surfaces under cabinets, behind equipment and around waste containers also collect dirt and filth and can attract pests. Some of the many out-of-sight areas that must be cleaned regularly as part of a sanitation plan cleaning schedule include behind, under and on top of.
45. Signs of pest infestations. Droppings and nesting materials indicate the presence of birds. Maggots and swarms of flies indicate a fly infestation. Recently hatched cockroaches leave brown, oval-shaped eggshell casings. Mice leave small, black, rice-shaped droppings. Rats leave brown, cigar-shaped droppings that are larger than mouse droppings.
46. Ways to prevent pest infestations. Pests will only go where they have access to food, water, and shelter, so the best way to prevent pest infestations is to limit their access to the building and to take away the things they need to survive. Clean and sanitize food contact surfaces daily. This includes prep surfaces, grills, cooking surfaces, and countertops. Keep cooking equipment free of grease and dirt buildup. Clean underneath equipment and shelves. Store food and food utensils at least 15 centimeters off the floor. Keep screens over windows to keep birds and flies away. When storing food in dry storage, keep food in tightly sealed, food-grade containers. Dispose of garbage properly and don't put garbage near doorways. Stop dripping pipes and prevent pooling of water.
47. 9 requirements for food service establishments. Potable water is for human consumption, for eating, drinking, cooking, and making ice. Hot water supply is necessary for proper dishwashing, hand washing, and cleaning. Cooler and freezer storage. Coolers and freezers must be at least 15 centimeters off the ground and have space to allow for air circulation. Lighting. Brightly lit workspaces help food handlers see spills, dirt, and signs of pests. Grease traps, fats, oils, and grease that go down the drain can clog plumbing and the public sewers. Ventilation keeps premises free from odors, grease, smoke, heat, and steam. Waste disposal. An establishment must have proper waste disposal procedures in place. Garbage attracts pests and can be a source of cross-contamination. Hand washing sinks should be easily accessed from all food preparation stations. The sinks must be equipped with liquid soap in a dispenser and single-use paper towels. Dishwashing facilities will handle its needs at its busiest times.
48. How a kitchen should be organized to reduce the risk of food contamination. Maintaining a clean, organized, and well-managed kitchen is essential for ensuring food safety and preventing contamination. Separation of tasks. Color coding. Proper storage. Temperature control. Hand hygiene stations. Cleaning and sanitizing. Waste management. Employee training. Pest control. Emergency preparedness. In order to ensure the efficiency and durability of equipment in a food service establishment, a regular maintenance program should be in place. Ensuring that equipment is kept in good working order so that it is clean and free of grease buildup and dust. Ensuring that equipment is operating according to the manufacturer's specifications.
49. Characteristics of safe food contact surfaces. Durable, food contact surfaces should be sturdy and capable of withstanding regular use without deteriorating or breaking. Non-toxic, materials used for food contact surfaces must be safe and non-toxic, ensuring that they do not release harmful substances into the food. Non-absorbent, surfaces should not absorb liquids or substances, preventing the growth of bacteria and making cleaning more effective. Smooth, a smooth surface is easier to clean, reducing the chances of bacteria or other contaminants hiding in crevices. Easy to clean, food contact surfaces should be designed for easy cleaning to maintain a hygienic environment and prevent the buildup of dirt and bacteria. Light-colored surfaces make it easier to spot any debris or stains, facilitating thorough cleaning and visual inspection.
50. Key parts of an equipment maintenance. Seals on the doors of coolers and freezers should be clean, free of mold, and seal tightly. Compressors on coolers and freezers should be clean, free of dust and grease, and have good air circulation around them. Ventilation systems should be cleaned regularly to prevent grease buildup. All temperature gauges should be regularly checked for accuracy.